Showtime! The Capital G show starts right now.
What's up YouTube, Capital G here. I want to talk about Mind Crush in this video and ask the question, does anybody still consider this a tech card anymore? And what do you think this card is going to do? Like, what impact do you think that it's going to have in the April format? What are your expectations for Mind Crush? And if for some reason you were living under a rock and you're wondering why I'm talking about this card, I would say for about the last month, it became very, very common to see triple Mind Crush getting splashed into, well, basically every deck. And we all know how important searching has become in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I honestly think that like searching now is on pretty much the same level as drawing. With a deck like Necros that says it doesn't really matter what we draw, we can just get to whatever we want whenever we want to. That deck has pretty much put searching over the top. It has brought it to a new level, and if you hit the key card out of your opponent's hand, for instance, if I open with Sertellar Knight, Deneb, and you happen to Mind Crush the Altier that I searched out of my hand, well, now you've derailed the constant +1 Exceed train that is Sertellar Knights. Not to mention, of course, you got the information of knowing my hand, so now you know what I'm gonna do, you know what I want to do, you know how to counteract my plays and what not to be fearful of. The advantage is just completely in your favor, and the card really did shine against Necros because all you had to do was a lot of times wait for your opponent to play a mirror, you know, either Mind Crush the corresponding monster that they were trying to summon, or the payment, like if you Mind Crush Charite when they activate Necro's cycle, and you usually would stun them for a turn, especially if they had a monster on board and they weren't able to recoup any more of their ritual spells, their mirrors. I would say that in testing, I wasn't loving this card against the Burning Abyss matchup when playing Tellar Knights. You guys may differ in that, but I think with Torgai going to 1, the card is going to get infinitely better against that matchup because now the chances of your opponent kind of opening up like double Dante have been severely slimmed down. So Mind Crush is going to get way better against Burning Abyss because whenever they want to special summon themselves, like BAs are going to have to inherently special summon themselves a lot more often to get to those big boards filled with multiple Dantes, and anytime that they do that, obviously revealing is a cost. You can just Mind Crush the monster, and then it doesn't matter what the monster is, if it's Sur, Graf, if it's Skarm, they won't get their effects because they've already tried to activate they've already activated their effect when trying to special summon themselves. And I think that some people might think, well, you know, how good is Mind Crush when you're not talking about the meta? Like, how good is it against the rogue? And even if you look at like the rogue decks, like Fire Fist and Heroes and Gladiator Beast, decks that people might think are going to see a lot more play now, like those decks run recruiters as well. I mean, they're pretty much filled with Proving Grounds and Tenkis and Rotas, and you may have to make some risky plays here and now. Like if, for instance, if you were going second against Fire Fist and your opponent, you know, activated Tenki and got Leopard, I don't think it would be the right play to Mind Crush the Leopard because then if they summon Spirit, like you just get shreked something fierce. I think the right play would be let them play the Leopard, see what they do from there. If they get a Tensen, then you probably know that they're looking to summon Spirit after that. So I kind of feel like Mind Crush is so versatile and so good, and it has so much momentum coming out of last format because Necros are still expected to be the best deck that the card almost reminds me of Mirror Force. It's a card where you should expect it in damn near everything that isn't Necros, and I guess technically since they lost 2 preps and a Brio, I mean, they could easily splash in 3 Mind Crush. Some players were even doing that last format, but I also feel like it's a card where, you know, you really have to start trying to play around it. I used to do this in Sertellar Knights, and I used to see some Cleefort players doing this, and that would be, they would be setting their spells and traps before activating the reinforcements of the army or the Summoner's Art or something like that, because you didn't want your opponent, if you knew you were going to get Mind Crushed and there was nothing you could do about it, you didn't want your opponent obviously knowing the information. And I don't know, I feel like Mind Crush is not really tech anymore. I feel like it's kind of like Mirror Force, or maybe not on the level of Mystical Space Typhoon, but something like a Mirror Force or a Book of Moon where like it's kind of expected in every deck now because it's so good. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think Mind Crush is one of those cards that is now kind of ascended to the level of a Mirror Force or something like that, where if you're playing against like basically any deck, if you're playing against Ritual Beast or even a deck like Lightsworn and you get Mind Crush, you're just like, well, whatever. It's one of the most commonly played cards. And let me know, are you guys going to play Mind Crush as well? I think I'm probably still going to play it because it got better against Burning Abyss and it was already the nuts against Necros. Thank you guys for watching, as always.
Subscribing makes life
Happy